Hi, just to let you know, I'm male and I really like watches. I work in London, but I pass by here every weekend. Right. I'm 41 years old, but I'm a massive fan of One Direction. Your movements, your habits, your interests. This week on Click, we'll show you how much your phone is saying about you without your knowledge. We'll meet the people trying to stop it, and we'll find out how to bend the tech to our own bidding as we turn a London street into a musical wonderland. All that plus the latest tech news and Webscape too. Welcome to Click, I'm Spencer Kelly, and welcome to York. This is an ancient English city, but it's doing some pretty 21st century things. Now, of the millions of tourists who visit here every year, more and more of them these days are going to want to go online while they're here using their smartphones, and York is one of the first UK cities to offer its own citywide free Wi-Fi. Now, I say free, but we all know what they say about free lunches, don't we? There are none. So have you ever wondered what you're giving up when you go online? These dots are shop customers moving around the store in real time. It's actually their mobiles that are being tracked, and it's happening without their owner's knowledge. When your device is searching for a Wi-Fi network to connect to, it repeatedly broadcasts short pings of information which include the device's unique identification number, something called a MAC address. The system here listens for these pings, and by triangulating their origin, it can get a pretty accurate idea of where you've been, even if you never actually connect to the Wi-Fi.
From this location map, we know exactly where a lot of people are spending time, and there's a way where we can filter the data, how many minutes they are spending time. So for example, if you know they are spending 3 minutes in the chilled area, that helps us to improve more and more and to increase more time to the customers.
Although your device's MAC address doesn't tell the system anything about you, as soon as you connect to the free Wi-Fi offered in and around the shop, everything changes. When you log in with Facebook, Twitter or an email address, all of that historic location data is then linked to your profile, to you. And it's not just within the walls of the shop that the Wi-Fi system logs data. It also picks up thousands of passers-by every day, many of whom may never enter the shop at all. Now, this system works on something the size of a shop, but in York, the analytics company behind it, Purple Wi-Fi, is planning something on a much larger scale. By 2015, it's hoping to install the same tracking technology across whole parts of the city. Unlike the shop-based system, at the moment it's still quite limited and only tracks your rough location, even once you've logged on. But even that information is proving useful to York's council.
It's early days and it's only been up and running for a few weeks, but already we can actually tell the people who are using the Wi-Fi where they're coming from in terms of origin and actually where they're going within York. So as an authority and businesses, we're getting a better insight to that footfall. We've actually seen the vast majority of people logging on are from middle-aged females from outside of the UK.
When the full location tracking and profiling system goes live next year, the deal will be this. You get free Wi-Fi in exchange for information about who you are and where you've been. So, is this a fair trade? Purple Wi-Fi's boss told me that you would see plenty of benefits if you're willing to give up that information.
In a city type scenario like this, it's understanding where are the choke points, you know, where's the traffic of people, how do they move, and if you take it a step further, you can start to take that data and control lighting or parking. So if an area's got no people, why are the lights on?
But it does mean that before you actually log on to the Wi-Fi, you don't have so much information about that particular device's movements, which
No.
I guess is annoying.
It is and it isn't. I mean, I think there's a value in understanding the way devices generally move around, because that shows you some of the footfall and just anonymous data, so that is useful. Where it becomes really interesting though is once we know more about you, we know your age, your gender, your social interests, who you're friends with in the city, because that's when we can start to push hyper-local relevant information.
But here's the thing. Remember that the system can match your personal information to your device's movements even before you logged onto the network? Well, Purple Wi-Fi is planning to keep that location data for up to a year. How do you think people would feel about knowing that you know where they've been?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't tracking you for 12 months.
But you were tracking my device.
We were tracking
which is as good as
a device.
A device that you now know is mine. So you now know where I've been for the last 12 months.
Absolutely. And to be honest, every bit of feedback we've had from users is, if you're giving me something relevant, I'm happy. If you're going to send me a load of spammy stuff, don't bother.
Now, all this information is there in the terms and conditions that need to be accepted before you log on. You know, those terms and conditions, the ones that we all read thoroughly before we click OK. Do you think people actually read those terms and conditions?
I think if you take anything in life, do people read terms and conditions of Facebook? How many people have ever read Facebook's terms and conditions? It'll be sub 1%. No, I don't think people do.
Have you ever read through the terms and conditions when you've logged on to free Wi-Fi?
I don't personally. So there's not a right and wrong answer, is there?
Do you think that the message click here to view the terms and conditions goes far enough?
I think it does, and I think any terms and conditions of any network usage comes with that value trade-off of your experience. You're going to get the free Wi-Fi comes at a small value of trading off some of your personal information.
Is there an option for people to join the Wi-Fi but opt out of having their MAC addresses recorded and tracked?
No.
Do you think there should be?
No. I think it's a fair exchange of value. There is a cost to put equipment up, to provide the connectivity, to provide no overlay of software, and it's a fair exchange of value. You want free Wi-Fi because you don't want to use up your data. The exchange of value is that you're going to share that data.
These sorts of insights are only possible because of the unique combination of location information and demographic social media information. But the harvesting of anonymous device information is described as a grey area in terms of data protection. In fact, last year the City of London banned Wi-Fi enabled dustbins installed on public streets after it emerged that they too were logging MAC addresses in a similar way without getting explicit consent from passers-by. And although you just heard Gavin Wilden tell me he didn't think there should be an option to opt out of having your MAC address recorded, after our interview, Purple Wi-Fi got back in touch with us and said that they may consider an opt-out system. Now, I'm not sure how definite that sounds to you, but anyway. This issue of opting out has already reared its head in the US. Jen Copestake went to Washington to investigate something called the Wireless Registry, which may allow you to take back control of the data associated with your phone.
If the idea of constant retail tracking doesn't appeal to you, what can you do about it? As we've seen, your phone sends out a unique identifier called a MAC address. One startup called the Wireless Registry wants to become the go-to company for taking back control of what it calls your proximal identity, the signals you emit from your smartphone.
We have the patent for allowing people to take control of their signal and decide what's associated with it. That's what the patent covers. The idea is to allow people to take control of their wireless identity. People have this wireless identity anyway, and we're allowing people to take control of it by registering and deciding what's associated with those wireless identities.
With the Wireless Registry, you can choose to opt out of having the data associated with your signals tracked. Working with the Future of Privacy Forum, it's created the platform smartstoreprivacy.org, offering a mobile analytics opt-out. You enter your phone's MAC addresses for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and a range of major companies that collect traffic data for retail stores say they won't collect yours. While not governed by law, the companies who have signed up are following this Mobile Location Analytics Code of Conduct. This is really focused at American consumers, but the Wireless Registry wants to take this idea around the world.
We've intended from day one to be global. We take wireless names in every character set of the world, and we actually, we're very much in discussions globally, and we think that that's just another barrier that's been in the way in the past for developers.
But the laws around privacy in this sphere are far from universal.
In the US, where you don't have general data protection rights to protect you against this kind of tracking, then the wireless registry opt-out is a step forward. I do think, though, that most people won't be aware that the technology is being used at all, never mind that they have to go and register with a specific opt-out registry.
Not only do people not know where to look, but when you do find information about privacy, it can be confusing. People are campaigning to make the privacy terms and conditions associated with websites much more readable and transparent. A recent study by Deloitte showed it would take the average British internet user up to 31 hours a year to properly read through these terms.
I don't think it's right to say that so long as there's a 20,000 word legalistic privacy policy that someone has clicked OK to, they've genuinely then consented to everything in it.
In recent weeks, we've heard Apple is working on creating a new privacy platform for its iOS 8 mobile operating system. It will randomize your MAC addresses, so the unique identifier being broadcast from your phone may be different every time. If they go ahead with it, this could be a huge blow for retail data collection. Of course, you could simply turn off the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi signals on your phone if you want to remain unseen. Ultimately, that's not what the wireless registry wants you to do. As well as the opt-out option, there's an opt-in, allowing you to share your personal data and control the wireless identity you broadcast around you. I signed up and created my own hotspot and linked my social networks to it.
We pinned your Twitter, your LinkedIn, and your Facebook to your wireless signal. So anytime you want anyone to pick it up, just by being within proximity of you, they can see all your social media. I can easily just, click on your Twitter and I would be able to follow your feed just by, being in proximity of you.
While it may appear scary to some that a stranger could sit next to you and see so much personal data, at least there are now systems emerging which allow us to control what others see.
Jen Copestake in Washington. So now you've heard all sides of this story. Well, the questions to you are obvious, really, aren't they? What do you think about the fact your phone could be tracked even before you've consented? Are you excited about it? In which case, tell us why. If not, what's your biggest fear? Email click@bbc.co.uk or tweet us @bbcclick. Next up, a look at this week's tech news.
Google's meeting data regulators from across the European Union to discuss the implications of the recent right to be forgotten ruling. An EU court stated back in May that links to irrelevant and outdated data should be erased from searches on request. The decision raised concerns that it could lead to censorship. Google's understood to have received more than 70,000 requests for links to be taken down since the court ruling was made. Electronics firm Xiaomi has unveiled a new smartphone and companion wristband. The fast-growing Chinese company has sold over 50 million phones since it started making them 3 years ago. The wristband is a new venture though, promising it'll monitor your activity and sleep patterns, as well as unlock the phone via Bluetooth, all for just $13. And if you're missing the World Cup, then this might help. Sort of. The Robot World Cup kicked off this week in the north of Brazil. Robotic teams from 45 countries are taking part in the annual event, which started back in '97. Unlike real footballers, these robotic players can't dive or feign injury during their 20-minute matches, and we're pretty sure they don't bite either.
We've seen how your phone can be tracked using Wi-Fi. Well, it can also be tracked using Bluetooth. In fact, some shops have already installed so-called Bluetooth beacons, which again work out where you are and then send you tailored information. And it turns out that Apple is betting big time on beacons. We know that because it's added the letter I in front of the title. LJ Rich has managed to get inside one of these beacons, and being LJ, she's also managed to bend it to her will.
London's Regent Street, now with added technology. Beacons, small transmitters that are like real-world hyperlinks, sending you virtual data based on your real location.
It's prime shopping real estate, and this spring around 100 stores have installed iBeacons to beckon us customers inside.
Yes, install their special app, have Bluetooth turned on, and you too can be pinged with personalised content up and down nearly 2 kilometres of shops.
There's lots of different beacons. All these boxes house a similar component, essentially a little Bluetooth low energy transmitter. There is when you use your phone. The closer your phone gets to the transmitter, this then sends out a little signal that an app running on your phone goes, aha, I want to pay for something, or aha, here's some information. And that's basically it.
But beacons don't have to just ping you adverts when you pass. All they do is transmit data based on how close you are. Here in London's uber-trendy Brixton, one coffee house has upped its hipster quotient considerably by installing a beacon by the counter. Now, with the right app running, a screen pops up when I'm close to the till, so I can pay for my skinny flat white. Although it does have to be in the local currency, the Brixton pound.
We're actually the first kind of network of shops to be using beacons for payments. Up to now, beacons tend to be used in larger businesses, mainly for marketing. When you go into a shop, it will automatically pop up and tell you where you are. You might be sat down actually having your coffee and you see that there's a big queue. You know how much the coffee costs. The beacon tells you where you are. You just have to write in the amount and click send, and then you've paid. You can walk out.
You're going to see a lot more of beacons. One museum uses them to trigger audio guides, so there are ways to use them outside of marketing. Our new technology, it's itching to be played with. I wanted to try something. So, over coffee with developer Jakub Tomanik, we hatched a plan. The beacons in Regent Street broadcast out into the street. So, I thought we could pick up their broadcasts and make music with it, instead of just being encouraged to buy new jeans. Jakub agreed. So, we gave our weekend to the project. Jakub coded, I composed, and then mapped the existing beacons in Regent Street using an Android app. And now, it was time to try it out in the wild.
So we can see beacon ID, major and minor number, and that basically allows us to trigger our own app and play some music.
Right. All this is just to record it. Otherwise, you could just put your own headphones in. But this is one for me, one for BBC Click.
And as a world first, these are Regent Street's beacons, mapped in music. Each beacon is assigned a music track as soon as it's detected. Signal strength becomes the volume control. Walking along the street changes the volume. Some tracks get louder and others softer. You are a human mixer. Mixing the music by changing your location.
I think we can call this a success.
Yes, I'm really happy.
Now, OK, this is a little eccentric, but as well as the fun of making art installations from beacon installations, this actually highlights other, more practical uses for existing beacons. For example, an app that speaks a station's name more loudly as you approach it. It could be useful if you have impaired vision. Or as you walk to your favourite cafe, your usual order is set aside for you. We could even map information for tourists as they walk past landmarks. It looks like beacons will make us more connected than ever.
And that is a classic view of York. In fact, it's one worthy of a selfie, if you don't mind. Give me a second. There we go. Although, I don't know about you, but the problem I have with selfies is I always appear too big in the frame. My arms really need to be about 3 times as long as they are. Yeah, you got the same problem? Well, don't worry then, because Kate Russell has an app for that now, unsurprisingly. Here comes Webscape.
It's all very well recording those special moments on your smartphone camera, but if you're always the snapper, the downside is you never appear in the snaps. To fix this, use Front Back, an ingenious free app for iOS and Android that splits the photo between the front and the back camera views, capturing you, capturing the view.
But first, let me take a selfie.
You need to take 2 snaps. The first one uses the front camera to capture your subject, and then the bottom panel opens up for you to snap the reverse image. Then you just save to your camera roll and share on the usual social channels. Of course, you can be as imaginative as you like with your captures, gaining followers and fans if you're creative enough. Another app to feed the ego is YouCam Perfect, also free on iOS and Android. This easy-to-use selfie snapper lets you apply effects and has beautifying and facial enhancement modes to smooth out skin, add a tan, and even shave a few pounds off your cheeks. Both the apps are about to be updated with video capability and enhanced makeup features. Once finished, you can build a collage and share with all of your friends. Lucky them.
Let me take a selfie.
If you're disabled, you might find it hard to know where you can go on holiday or for family days out without experiencing access issues. That's why disabled husband and father Michael Holden put together Tripability, a place for those with hands-on experience to leave reviews about various destinations and how truly accessible they are. Michael told me his motivation for creating the site was so that he could treat his family to the same kinds of days out as his able-bodied friends without arriving at the venue to find it wasn't as accessible as promised. There's a good community already posting and leaving recommendations and reviews, but a site like this thrives when more people contribute. So make sure you sign up and leave your own opinions on the places you visit that have good or bad access. Last week we looked at some summer holiday essentials, and now, to make sure you don't forget to pack anything, PackPoint app has launched on iOS and Android. Just tell the app where you're going, for how long, and what you expect to do, and it will build your perfect packing list, delivered complete with weather forecast. And another app we looked at late last year for Android was Ingress.
Portal in range.
An augmented reality game that turns the world around you into a capture the flag style game to get you moving more. It went down very well with Android using click viewers, so now I'm pleased to let you know it's available on iOS devices too.
Portal offline. Enemy agents in your area.
Kate Russell's Webscape, and if you'd like to suggest a site or an app for Kate, then please do email us, click@bbc.co.uk. On Twitter we're at BBC Click, and we're on Facebook and Google Plus too. And for more from us throughout the week, check out our website, bbc.co.uk/click. That's it though, I'm afraid, from Click in York. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.